Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am C1C Kylie Swartz, and thank you for joining me this morning. I do want to make note and mention that the weather is not great, so to all the warfighters out there who made it through the weather, whether you drove, walked, thank you for making it, and those who couldn't make it, I guess we'll see them in a couple hours. It is my privilege to welcome you to Day 2 of the 32nd Annual National Character and Leadership Symposium. It is an honor to introduce our guest speaker for this morning's session, Captain Jason Birch, United States Navy. Captain Jason Birch is a native of Crofton, Maryland. He graduated from the Naval Academy Preparatory School in 1995 and received a commission from the United States Naval Academy in 1999. He completed Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL training with class of 228 in 2000. His first assignment after graduation was to SEAL Team 2 in Little Creek, Virginia. During this time, he served as both an assistant officer in charge and officer in charge of SEAL platoons as he completed 3 deployments serving in the European, African, Pacific, and Central theaters of operation. The last 2 deployments were in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. During these tours, he took part in several strategic efforts, including personal security for the Deputy Prime Minister of Iraq and other senior elected officials in the executive branch. While assigned as Troop Commander at SEAL Team 4, he deployed to Iraq in 2008, leading as Task Unit Commander for a Special Operations Task Force conducting combined combat operations with Iraqi security forces in Al-Anbar province. Captain Birch was also assigned to SEAL Team 8 as the operations officer, where he led team remissioning in support of AFRICOM and later the Naval Special Warfare Group 4 in Little Creek, Virginia. During his tenure, he served as Operations Officer, Chief Staff Officer, and deployed as Commander of Central Command's Crisis Response Element. Captain Birch then went on to command SEAL Team 10 and completed a tour at U.S. Special Operations Command Headquarters prior to his current assignment at the United States Naval Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Jason Birch.
Well, hoo-yah and good morning, Air Force Academy. All right. So I first want to thank Joan Barnfine for this opportunity to stand on this stage in front of our future. Truly, it's an honor. But I want you to know that I actually have a secret about Joan Barnfine. Hold it. It's true. I have a secret about your superintendent. It has to do with his future, and it didn't actually play out like he planned. Because that secret is that Joan Barnfine actually wanted to attend the Naval Academy. It's true. It's true. And so I had to dig deep into the archives to find photographic evidence of this. And I found this photo of our time at the Academy together. And so that handsome guy in the center there, hey, that's not Joan Barnfine. That's not Joan Barnfine. That's actually Josh. That's Cadet Josh Gagan. But that guy on the right with the face made for radio, well, that's me. That's me. So that's why standing on this stage right here really is a full circle moment for me, because I had the opportunity to have one of your classmates, one of your teammates, be my roommate as part of the Surface Academy exchange program. And I got to tell you, my other roommate Mo and I, we gave Josh hell. We gave Josh hell, and so did the entire company. I tell you what, he gave it back, probably as much so or even more most of the time. He really did. And so that's all I got to say. I'm a bit disappointed that I've been on deck for a couple days now, and not one of you cadets has even tried to play a prank on me. I mean, frankly, I'm a little hurt. So if any of you think you have what it takes, bring it. I'm staying at the Rampart Lodge for another day. But But truly, I think that, Josh and I, in that room, we had a lot of good times, and it truly was, I think Josh was actually there to bear witness to where we started to forge our warrior spirit. And it wasn't at Buds, it wasn't at SEAL training, it was actually right here at our service academies, right? The Air Force Academy is a forging experience. It's designed to be hard. It's designed to be challenging for a reason, to test you. So for me, or for you guys, your journey from 4 digs to firsties, it is a forging one. For me, it started off as a freshman or a plebe at the Naval Academy for a young man that had the idea that he wanted to be a Navy SEAL. And so I was a good runner in high school, had good upper body strength. And so I thought I would just push through the swim, right? I would just push through the swim. So, in other words, I was going to wing it. And so that translated to me trying out for one of our coveted spots to go to Navy Dive School in Panama City as a midshipman. And so our upper class cadre put together a screening weekend, basically a selection process where they ran us through. There was a lot of running, push-ups, pull-ups until you thought your arms were going to fall off. And yeah, we had to tread water with a brick over your head. And it was at that moment that I thought, maybe I can't just push through the swim. And so as the cadre jumped into the water and hauled me over to the side, and the other stood over and said, "Mr. Birch, you are built like a Coke machine. And you float like one too." I'm like, seriously. So I was disappointed. But I kept the faith. I didn't lose faith in my mission. And my mission at the academy was to embrace the crucible that it was and every challenge afforded to me, to find unity through shared pain with my classmates so that eventually I could commission into conflict. All right? That was my mission. And so at this point, I'll share that I have the privilege of being on the Naval Academy's admissions board. And so every week, I get to read the personal statements of high school hopefuls, not unlike most of you here who at some point wrote about integrity first, service before self, excellence in all you do, and why you wanted to come to the Air Force Academy. And so I'll mention my challenge to you is, I'd offer, do you wake up every morning with that same hunger? Because I know the Air Force Academy hasn't moved the goalposts. You knew what the standard was, right? You knew what the standard was. So I know that you guys didn't think you were going to get some homework assignment here. It's Friday morning, it's snowing out, but actually we're going to get a little schoolwork here. So break out your phones, get a little homework assignment here. Write this down, all right? I want every single one of you to go back and reread your personal statement. Reread your personal statement to get into the Air Force Academy. All right? Think about it. I know you have it there. Reread it. Not right this moment, but that's your homework assignment. Reread that personal statement. Ask yourself, if you probably have a few 4 digs in the room, understanding that, are you moving about the space here with a purpose? Or have you become disillusioned with the traditions and the things that we make you do here, yeah, to make your life a little bit more challenging, but with a purpose, to instill attention to detail and time management and building that resilience and grit. If you're one of the upper class, are you just happy not to be 4-dig anymore? Or are you embracing your role within the wing? Have you kept faith with your mission? Have you kept faith with your mission? Well, that's what I did. I kept faith in my mission, and I also kept faith in my teammates. Because I had a lot of work to do, right? I had a lot of work to do, and I knew to get to where I needed to be, I was going to have to leverage those friendships. I was going to have to leverage my teammates to get to where I wanted to go. And so I was lucky enough to have, right down the hall, a company mate who happened to be a standout swimmer on the varsity team. And she worked with me. She worked with me. We worked on my stroke technique. We worked on breath control. We worked on, well, she helped design workouts, early morning workouts, so much so that that next year, I'll tell you what, that Coke machine could float. That Coke machine could float and swim. And it was all because I didn't lose faith in my mission, and I didn't lose faith in my teammates, for sure. And you're all going to be tested. Your faith is going to be tested, right? For many of you, it's going to come here shortly, whether it be at flight school, all right, so ALO training, whatever the case might be, you're going to be tested. Are you building your warrior spirit now? Are you building your warrior spirit now? Because you're going to need it. I was going to need it. And so it wasn't too long after that where I found myself literally on the side of the pool, on the deck, once again. All right? And I was tested. So I know many of you are familiar with SEAL training. It's broken into 3 phases. The first phase being the PT, the physical conditioning phase. Second phase being dive phase. And the third phase being the land warfare phase. And so most notorious, throughout, of course, you're having to complete different timed events with increasing speed and proficiency. And the most notorious of those being during first phase, Hell Week, where you're pushed to your physical and mental limits, cold, wet, sandy, little to no sleep for almost a week. What I'd offer is actually during dive phase where you're challenged the most, both physically and mentally. And so pictured here is an instructor harassing one of my teammates to go through what we call pool comp. And they're trying to determine if he has the strength and mental fortitude to problem solve under stress, tired and a little bit cold, and at depth, where they're literally tying your air source into knots to figure out if you know what to do, if you can stay calm, or if you need to enact your emergency procedures. And so the image right next to that is what we will call our wall of shame. All right, and sitting there, that wall is seated right there in the middle. That's me, once again, staring off at the fence. Because basically you got 3 shots to make it through this portion, and after that there was a good chance you were going to get dropped. You're going to get dropped from the program. And so it was high stress. It was high stress. You had to sit there and think about what you did wrong, what you need to do right next time, if there was a next time. And you had to listen to your other teammates successfully complete the evolution, they get the thumbs up and hopped out and went to another area. So it was high stress. But I kept the faith in myself and in my training, and I had been there before as a midshipman. I had been tested before as a midshipman because I had started to feed my warrior spirit earlier on. I had been there before. And so, yeah, I was able to complete the evolution and make it through the rest of the training. And then finally there, at the end, you'll see the graduation class of 228. And if about 150 of us started training, at the end, there were 10 of us originals standing at the end on that final day. It was all because throughout, we recognized and we kept faith in our mission and our teammates, and that to get to that day standing in our whites, we had to go through this. We understood that there was a method behind the madness. We have faith that this crucible that you're working through right now, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, even on those dark days, those cold, wet days through training. So that's it. We kept the faith. Now, this next image here, this is one of my favorite images because I believe our ocean is like the perfect metaphor for the warrior's path. The ocean it's ever changing. Sometimes you can time the waves. And if the waves are different challenges and adversities that you're going to face as a commissioned officer, sometimes you can time them. Sometimes there's waves you can see. There's obstacles that you can see. And sometimes you can't. There's obstacles and waves that you can't see. But you're going to press on because you have that faith. And it's not to say that doubt can't creep in there. That's not to say that you're not going to question yourself. You might question yourself now. But questioning yourself is okay. Having doubt is okay. Because I believe that having doubt allows you, forces you to ask those questions of yourself and of others to develop that kind of combat picture to make the best, most well-informed decision that you can. So doubt's okay. Without doubt, you can't have faith. Think about it. Without doubt, you can't have faith. And I was certainly going to need faith throughout my career, and certainly some of the toughest decisions I was going to have to make in my career. All right? I was feeding my warrior spirit, constantly feeding it. All right. I'm a proud dad. I got to tell you, I didn't throw up this picture as a shameless opportunity for everybody to go, oh, she's cute. That's my daughter. She is. She's damn cute. She has Hawaiian heritage. That's her Hawaiian name, Lauleakoa. I'll tell you what it means here in a bit, but it's kind of pinned that away. But that's my daughter. Talk about faith. So I commanded SEAL Team 10, and during my tour for about the last 6 months of my tour, I was the task force commander in Somalia of a group of an element as we were hunting the terrorist group Al-Shabaab. You might have heard of Al-Shabaab, known for enlisting children soldiers, for targeting civilians, and the worst that we've seen on the battlefield. Pictured here is just one of many images you can find from them targeting civilians. This happened to be in the capital, Mogadishu, at the time. And so during that tour, during that deployment, we got a call from our team leader in the south, not long after completing a mission, as relayed through our Somali partner force, that a young Somali boy, about age 6, was injured from indiscriminate fire from the enemy, from Al-Shabaab, because that's what they do. And so our partner force knew that we had access to higher level care. And if that young boy were to have any chance at survival, it was best in a hospital that we could get him to. They knew that if he went to a hospital out in town, he would surely die because he was in a bad way. And so I was faced with a decision that was going to come at a cost. There was risk. I talk about cost and risk. I'm not talking about fuel. As many of you know, for us to go on our missions, there's certain platforms that we have to have. And that cost, that risk was our inability to hunt the enemy. We would have to have taken an operational pause to leverage a platform normally reserved for American casualties. If there were new breaking intelligence for that operational pause to get him to higher level care, we had to stop hunting the enemy. So there was a cost there. There was a risk. There was a risk that I was going to face, personally, additional scrutiny from my leadership and questioning my decision-making ability. There was a risk I would face additional scrutiny and questions from my teammates, and whether the skipper was truly a warfighter and focused on the mission. And then, of course, there was a risk that we would break faith, I believe, with our partner force, who we worked with for many years, developed that trust and confidence in one another, and that we would deny them this request to save this local boy, one of their own, if you will. So I made that call, and we got him to higher level care. And do you think there was perhaps some doubt in my decision? Maybe a little bit. There was definitely some doubt there. But I tell you for sure, I had faith that I made the right decision. I had faith that I made the right decision, because I saw it as an opportunity for us to show that as a joint force, no matter what you look like, whether you grew up with running water, regardless of your race, your sex, gender, what have you, it doesn't matter. The American military will help you. That's the American way. That's the American way. Without question. Because I knew, and I felt in my heart that Somali boy, he had somebody who loved him just like I love my daughter. That could have been your kid, your brother. And what an opportunity for us to show our strength and what it means to be a special operator and what it means to be part of the American military. Because at the end of the day, I put this up here. You guys wondering what Laloikoa means? There it is. That our enemy knows that we will rain fire down upon you, and we will not stop. We will not stop. but at the same time, showing true strength is understanding that it's important to be feared, but also respected. But also respected. So I want to challenge you, teammates, to ask yourself, are you feeding your warrior spirit every day? Are you challenging yourself in ways that are afforded to you here at the Air Force Academy? Are you doing what you can to walk the warrior path? The path that I believe leads you on the road to truly be a peaceful warrior. So General Barnfine, thanks for this opportunity. Huya Air Force Academy. I want to leave you with these words, and that is to keep the faith and stay in the fight. Huya.
At this time, I would like to open the floor for questions. Attendees, you can ask questions at the microphones positioned in the audience.
Are you guys trying to figure out how you can prank me right now? I'm not going to tell you my room number.
I'll ask a question.
Huya, shipmate.
Good morning, shipmate. Can you tell us, what was your most fun day in the Navy?
The most fun day I've ever had in the Navy? Wow. That's a tough one. First day, I mean. Well, every day is a great Navy day. Every day is a fine Navy day. So how many days are left to graduation? 99. Huya, that's my class. That's what we do at the Naval Academy. We started our class, but 91 days. So early on, I have to say, I'm envious of you to be in your position. You're going to graduate here very soon. I mean, that was an amazing day just to be there, to have your families out to support you. And for many of you, it's been a childhood dream to graduate from the Air Force Academy. So certainly graduation day was huge as well. For me, early on, certainly graduating from BUDS, Class 228. You know, I had mentioned before, it was a tough class. It was a tough training regiment with just 10 of us originals finishing training. So be able to stand there side by side with my teammates there, and also to have different Medal of Honor recipients as well to come to our graduation. You know, you mentioned, folks like this in the Navy, Tommy Norris and others were there. It's interesting, just a few weeks ago, I had an opportunity to meet with some of those SEAL Medal of Honor recipients at a local football game in Annapolis, and to kind of see things come full circle again with the legacy that they forged, and be able to walk in their path over the last couple decades truly has been an honor. So every day is a fine Navy day, shipmate. Thanks for the question.
Hey, JB, thanks for coming out and representing, being a phenomenal teammate and shipmate, battle buddy over the years. And obviously, our U.S. Navy SEALs are esteemed warriors. Can you share with this august group of future leaders a point in your early career where you were probably faced with adversity, maybe even loss of a teammate, and how you helped lead, or you saw others lead through overcoming that adversity?
Thanks, sir. You know, absolutely. Sadly, it's just the nature of what we do. And certainly my career witnessed challenges and adversities on the battlefield. But sadly, some of the most trying times and when I've lost teammates has actually been stateside. And so it's been nice to view, to experience over the last 2+ decades the support that we have for our teammates, and certainly that I've seen here walking around the Air Force Academy for those that are or have developed challenges mentally, certainly from the normal stresses of life, the normal stressors that come from being a warrior, and so I'm coming back with honor on the battlefield. So sadly, I've lost teammates through suicide, and that is something that is very difficult to deal with, but it's something that I do believe that we're so much better prepared for than we were early on after 9/11, certainly. And so I talked a lot about faith, and what I didn't mention is faith in God. I did not mention faith in God because I don't have it. I think that's extremely important as well. And for me, that was the way that I was able to push through and to reach back into my faith to persevere through some of those challenging times. And so oftentimes in uniform, I feel like we're reticent and kind of tiptoe saying God and talking about faith. But our country is built on it. And so it's important as leaders, future commissioned officers here, to give your troops the opportunity to practice their faith and give them the space, regardless of where you are, to leverage that spiritual strength that they need to have. They need to have that kind of resilience as well to do so. And so that's where I reach back to, sir, to push through the tough times.
No, thank you very much, JB.
Yes, sir.
Sir, how did the saving the child impact the mission, and were there consequences?
Okay, thanks for that question. I probably should have mentioned, or maybe not, because I don't think it's important. But sadly, we lost that young boy. He held on for as long as he could, but he didn't make it. And so I've had to go back and think, knowing the outcome, would I have changed the decision that I made? And I've had some years to reflect on that, and every time the answer is absolutely not. Would have done the exact same thing, because I don't think the outcome was really what we were searching for. It was demonstrating that humanity, demonstrating our ability to be ruthless, feared, but peaceful warriors in what we do as joint warriors. And so I'll say I was encouraged. My leadership was amazing. Sure, they asked some tough questions, but I was able to answer them, and they backed me in my decision. And my teammates are like, giddy up, let's go. Let's get him to where he needs to be, because I believe that was the culture of the team. But that's the one that we tried to foster at SEAL Team 10. And so, yeah, that was a result of that decision. But I wouldn't have changed it.
Good morning, sir. Cadet Benevenci from University of Hawaii at Manoa.
Hoo-yah, Hawaii. Did you say Hawaii?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, my question is,
I'm a little partial for obvious reasons. I'm a little partial for obvious reasons. All right.
Sir, my question is, how do you inspire spiritual faith in others and faith in the mission in others?
Okay, so how do you inspire, so make sure I got it right, how do you inspire faith in others? Spiritual faith in others?
Yes, sir, including faith in the mission in others.
No, fantastic. Well, I think as leaders, regardless of what your faith is, if you practice, if you don't practice, it's important for us, again, like I said before, to offer that opportunity to others. I was just telling a cadet last night, I'm not sure if she's here this morning, but we talked about there's a way to do it. There's a way to let your people know that you're a person of faith and that you have that strength without coming over the top, without coming over the top. And whether that be getting to know your people and sharing your daily routine and mentioning, it's like, hey, what did you do this weekend? Well, I watched the ball game, took my kids to the park, got up, went to church, and so on, and then pretty much vegged out. Okay, I'm just kind of making it up as I go. But the point being, in that little brief interaction, you're able to communicate that in your personal life, you take the time to feed yourself spiritually, right? And so in those moments like that, it makes them feel safe that they can talk about faith if they want to, and that it's important to their leader. And so whenever I have the opportunity to kind of share my daily routine and things that are important to me, I think that helps to encourage them to develop and to maintain their own faith. Now, in terms of faith in the mission, I mean, I think to me that just comes with having faith in your oath, right? Support and defend the Constitution, obey the orders of the president, and talking about that and understanding that, because that transcends everything. And of course, our core values, whether it be Air Force or Navy, right? Because those are enduring. Our core values are enduring. In terms of, again, having faith in the mission, you gotta lead from the front. You gotta lead from the front. All those special tenets talking about not asking people to do something that you couldn't do or weren't willing to do yourself. Those are how you inspire those. That's how you inspire your team to keep faith in you as a leader. And if you can do that, I know they'll have faith in the mission. Okay?
Mahalo, sir. Go Bows.
All right, there we go.
Sir, C.C. Kreitzer, Charlie Squadron, the P. What was the coolest experience you've had being Navy SEAL?
Okay, I don't hear as well as I used to.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna have to come, you have to bring it. Sound off, my man, sound off.
Sir, C.C. Kreitzer, Charlie Squadron, the P. What was the coolest experience you've had being a Navy SEAL?
The coolest experience I've had.
The
Well, of
coolest.
course, it's standing here in front of you guys, here at the Air Force Academy, yeah? Come on, bring it up. I mean, to say there's one experience that trumps all over, that's a tough one. I mean, I'll say that, again, I envy all of you because you're going to have the opportunity to travel all around the world, at least for the Navy. I know it sounds trite, but they say, join the Navy, see the world. And I truly have. I truly have. I've been to every continent with the exception of Antarctica. I'm working on the Arctic. I'm going to get there before it's over. But man, that's a tough one to answer for sure. But for me, it's definitely the experience to travel and to interact with other people. I had the opportunity to spend some time in the Pacific, specifically working out of our embassy in Bangladesh. You talk about an experience that is humbling. I was sitting down, we're having chow the other day, and I get it. Some meals are better than others, right? Some meals are better than others. And you go to Mitchell Hall, and you're just like, oh, here we go again. No more beans and rice. No more beans and rice. But and you will have the experience to travel around and to spend time in places like Bangladesh and others, and to see how the privileges that we have and the benefits of growing up the way that we have here in America. That to me is humbling, and something that those have been some of my most amazing experiences, because I appreciate and understand why we do what we do and why we protect our freedoms because of our way of life. And not everyone has those privileges and has the ability to grow up the way that we have. And so we're here, and you guys all signed up to protect them, protect those privileges. So that makes sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Be grateful is what I'm trying to say. Be grateful and be humble.
Good morning, sir. My name is Darrell Whitcomb. I'm a 1969 graduate of this school. In my time in the service, I had some experience with SEALs, and I would just like to emphasize to all these young men and women that here in the States, we poke fun at each other, service, parochialism, and all that, but when we go downrange, we are one team, one fight. Our only colors are red, white, and blue, okay?
Hoo-yah, one team, one fight.
Now, you guys, your community, you are low density, high demand. And when the tough missions come down, it's usually you guys are the Ghostbusters. You're the ones we're going to call. So would you please take a moment and explain to these young men and women the kind of missions that we would assign to our SEAL teams so they understand the role that you play in the dynamics of our military?
Sure. I know most of you are already familiar with the different roles that we can have as special operators, certainly ranging everything from direct action, special reconnaissance, from the sea, under the sea, sea, air, land. It all makes sense, right? To me, though, I want to share the last 2 decades we've been, frankly, focused on one area, right? And at least speaking from, the Navy perspective, much of that was focused clearly on the Middle East in terms of Naval Special Warfare and our training cycle and how we prepared for the mission. And I'm proud to say that over the last 5+ years, we've really recognized that we can't forget our roots. And I offer that you as airmen can't forget your roots. And that is, at least for us, our bread and butter from the sea and making sure that we are the nation's premier maritime force. And so that, in my career, we've never had to work truly in a contested environment. Always understanding that we had air superiority and focusing at least our skills on direct action and land warfare and things like that. But that's no longer the case. All right? I truly believe that our future and what we're looking at now is getting back to our roots and be able to make sure that we are lethal from the sea. We remain our nation's premier maritime force. And I challenge that you as airmen are doing the same, working in that great competition environment for sure. Okay? All right, thank you.
Sir, CC Hudson, Alpha Squadron, Prep School. My question
Prep
for
school.
you is...
Hold on a second. You said prep school?
Yes, sir.
As you guys know, I'm a Napster, so I went to our Naval Academy Prep School, so I understand. I got love for my prepsters. We got any prep school folks in the audience? Wait a second, wait. Is this like the whole prep school's right here? Oh, they stack the audience. I see how it is. They're like, we got to put like the most motivated folks up front. That was for my benefit, I'm sure. Okay, I appreciate that. All right.
Thank you for the hype, sir. But my question was, how did you overcome the natural tendency to grow complacent? And how did you wake up every day and convince yourself to give 100% during your time at the academy and throughout your career?
Okay, I'm going to give a read back to make sure I heard the question. So you said, how do I wake up every day with a natural tendency to...
How do you overcome that tendency to want to grow complacent, and how did you wake up and decide to give 100%?
Right, to grow complacent. Well, I couldn't. And that's because of the person to your right and to your left. How can you grow complacent in a competitive environment like this? You got to keep faith in your teammates. We pushed each other. I go back to, this room right here. Where are we? Can we bring back up the image to talk about that room, if we can? Ask my daughter, yeah. You want to say, oh, again? Go ahead. Yeah, there it is. I mean, that's it right there, right? We pushed each other. That room, I'm proud of that room. There on the right, that's my swim buddy, Mo, went on to be a Marine special operator. He was actually our brigade commander at the Naval Academy. How in the world can you become complacent when there's all this talent here? You guys should push each other. Complacency, that's not a word that should be in our vocabulary, if that makes sense. So to answer your question is, it just wasn't possible. We pushed each other. If I was having a bad day, I just have to look over and see my roommate, like, hey, let's go. I was going to let him beat me, right? And so I challenge you guys, if you feel like you're becoming complacent, lift up your teammates by their bootstraps and help them out and keep motivating each other. That's how you fight that complacency.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Good question.
Morning, sir. My name is Cadet 3rd Class Jalen Palmer, CS-18. To follow up on the Academy question, what is one lesson that you learned during the Naval Academy that you didn't expect to translate into the Navy once you commissioned?
That I didn't expect to translate?
Yes, sir.
I'd say that some of the things that you have to do on a daily basis here that you just don't understand, at least at the Naval Academy, truly do translate into tangible skills, just being a good junior officer. And again, those things about time management, working when you're tired. Like, we have one hell of a schedule, for you guys here, and certainly at all the service academies. And so it's not going to get easier when you commission. It's going to be even more difficult, for sure. And also, I'm not getting the hook, hopefully not too soon, but I'll say that in terms of having the courage to execute some of the most difficult leadership, and that's peer leadership. For me was making those tough decisions, having to hold my classmates accountable for our military traditions, for the things that are important to us as being part of a military school as a service academy, right? Adhering to our honor concept or honor code and exercising those muscle movements now, right? Developing that courage, because when you get out into what we call the fleet, or out into the Air Force, right? You think it's going to be easier to hold someone who has more experience than you, time in the Air Force, accountable? No, it's going to be even more challenging. And if you can't tell your classmate or an underclassman to get it tight and say, hey, shipmate, you're not doing that properly, how do you think you're going to be able to do that for your people, for your commissions? So you got to do it now. Make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, I got the reps in.
All right, we have time for one more question.
Good morning, sir. My name is CC Hartman, Charlie Squadron from the prep school. And I was wondering, you've spoken very highly of your daughter and the love that you have for her and your family. I was wondering if you could share some advice about how you managed to stay involved in your daughter's upbringing and make time for your family while also managing the workload as a naval officer, especially for those who are planning to have a lifelong career in the military.
All right, that's a great question. All right, so I'd say, looking back, my advice to you would be to seek out good role models, seek out good examples of Air Force families that have made it. And I'd also talk to Air Force families that, let's say, haven't made it, but maybe have had some more challenges, right? Because those examples are out there. Many of your leaders right here, your instructors, your wing leadership, they're living it now. I know you're asking me. For me, I think it's definitely, you want to make sure that you choose wisely, right? Choose wisely, just like it's like a mission, right? I'm going to get quoted here, right? It's all being recorded. So, choosing a partner in a way is like a mission, right? So you got to do all your research, you got to do all your intel, all right? So I don't know where the hell your all's minds are going right now, but the point is that don't rush into anything, and make sure that you find someone that aligns with your values, you communicate, right? And you understand that you're going to grow and change together. And frankly, I say as leaders, you have to understand that your people are watching you, and they're watching where you allocate what little free time that you have, right? And if you're someone who has a cot in their office, and I recognize that, I had to do that sometimes, but if you never yourself as a leader take time to feed your family, if you will, just like if you're not a leader that takes time to feed yourself spiritually and so on, then your people will think, well, that's how it's supposed to be. And that's the expectation for my unit. And that's contagious. And that's infectious, and that's going to carry throughout their career. So I'd say, again, communicate, make sure that you take time, choose wisely, and choose good mentors and examples of strong families that you feel like you want to emulate and grow up to be like, and talk to them and pick their brain.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Captain Birch, on behalf of the United States Air Force Academy and the National Character and Leadership Symposium, we'd like to thank you for joining us today with a commemorative coin.
All right, look at that. Booyah. Thank you very much. It's beautiful. Carry on. All right, appreciate it. Nice. All right, thanks.